Hi, I'm Lorraine Dallmeier and I'm the Director of Formula Botanica, the accredited online organic cosmetic science school. And in this video series, we're interviewing skincare entrepreneurs all around the world to ask them about their experiences, their secrets, and the top tips that they can share with our community. I've got a bit of a cold, so I have to apologize in advance for my slightly grainy voice, but hopefully it'll hold out for the interview. So today I'm speaking to Anju Rupal, who is the founder of Abhati Suisse, which is a lovely brand based in Switzerland. Now, Anju's been through all of the steps required to start your own skincare business, including crowdfunding, which is something that I wanted to focus on in specific in this particular interview. So I'm just going to toggle over to Anju so you can meet her too. Hi, Anju. Thank you so much for joining me for this interview.
Thank you for inviting me, Lorraine.
So can you tell me a bit about your business? How did you first get started? What was the big dream?
There was no strategy behind it. There was actually no plan behind Abhati. It was at a dinner in Paris with some friends, and we were all sitting there talking about what's happening to our world. Why is there so many crazy things around? Why is there so much destruction sort of around forestry? And then me already having launched 6 years ago WeForest, I was one of the founding members of WeForest, and celebrating this year planting 12 million trees. And we believe in WeForest that trees are the best technology to cool the earth. So, and then also my background as a social worker, I'd always worked around gender inequalities and became an entrepreneur by default because I wanted to give capitalism a heart. Saw an opportunity through a very amazing network of friends who come from the design industry, sort of that they do design work. Paperlux does for, they're basically in-house designers for Hermes. And then very fortunate to have friends from the cosmetic industry, formulators. And I came up with the idea at dinner, so what if we transpired into Abhati Suisse, and it was about just all these normal products, everyday products we buy anyway, putting them together in the most natural way possible so that they could finally work in an industry where they were already working in and had won awards as well for their products, but they're still employed, but they had to work with botanics that weren't actually up to speed, and they wanted to work with very natural and work around the very natural space. So that's how Abhati came about, and that's I think that's the short part of it. It's actually longer. It's taken us 4 years actually to get to this stage. But,
okay, well actually 4 years doesn't seem incredibly long given how much time it takes to formulate a product and go through all the testing and get all the feedback. So actually it sounds like you worked at quite a rapid pace to get there.
Yeah, sorry, we were very, very driven as well by the purpose. The purpose was very, very much clear from the beginning. We've just pivoted now, but it was around empowering girls and women, and really sort of addressing education as we realized that a lot of women or girls didn't have access to education in developing countries, and education is the only way forward and the only sustainable way for women and girls to step out of poverty. So that's what we're actually doing with Abhati Suisse. And that's the core reason why we all came together. That's the core reason why this phenomenal team has given their work, their skill sets, and donated that to this cause. So no one's earned a dime from this.
That's fantastic. So all the revenue from the business goes back to this educational cause. Wow, that's incredible. How did you set that up?
It's a long story. Basically, I mean, it took a long time to find the right partnerships, the right NGOs, and then very, very clearly sort of there's algorithms. You'll see it on our website that shows you how many girls you send to school when you check out into a rickshaw. And we work with a phenomenal team in England that's taken us on board as well, pro bono, and set up transparency tools on the back end. It's called Provenance. Phenomenal. Because I think when you're doing something like that, and especially with a team that has already a name behind them, like the trailblazer from the perfume industry, Geza Schön. I mean, he sells like 300 units a week in Harvey Nichols perfume.
Wow.
He's our head perfumer, and people like that. I mean, we had to just be very transparent, and we had to be able to walk our talk and show what we're doing. And what's happened now eventually is that we're also certified by B Corp. And B Corps are, other B Corporation companies that are certified are Ben & Jerry's and Patagonia for the impact. So we have a governance board that actually allows us to walk our talk, and it's about doing business, but and profitability is obviously in there. I mean, we have to cover our overheads, etc., and our raw materials.
Yes.
But it's about not working just purely for the profit, but making and running a business for good. So that's why we were certified, because they were able to see where we work, that we address the carbon footprint, that we work with women who look after the farms where we are. It's a whole machine, but it took a long time, because we also worked with farmers and taught them via the reforest team as well how to rejuvenate the soil, so that they actually, because there's so many pesticides being used and fertilizers. So there has been a whole machine behind Abhati, and it takes 3 years to rejuvenate soil as well and have it organic. But
it's a big undertaking. How many people have you got involved with your whole organization?
There's about 10. And I have a pipeline of MBA students who come over to us as well from one of the top universities here in St. Gallen. So they work, because there's a whole shift of millennials who want to work. They don't want to climb the corporate ladder anymore. They want to work somewhere, use their skill sets where they see a purpose attached to it. So they also get to go and work in the NGOs as well. So they do a stint with us, and then they go over and see what impact they're making as well, and how they've really helped sort of Abhati go to the next level. But it's also a very tearful project, Lorraine. I mean, there's things that have happened which just leaves you there, and you have no power over that, but you just have to get up and go again. So we've actually had to pivot from our original idea of funding toilets, where I did a TED talk around, because we realized that they weren't actually even being used. I mean, that the core thing was around education and changing the mind shift of how people thought in rural areas, and then really addressing education, giving people access to education. So it's not charity per se, it's more like we see it as aid, because we actually are in a team with governmental boards, with other people involved, so that everyone really has a buy-in. And parents have to guarantee that their kids finish the school. So the girls have to have that sign-in by the parents, so that we know that it's actually a program that we finished at the end.
Wow, what a fantastic undertaking. And I love what you were saying about putting heart into capitalism, because I think you're right. I think a lot of people nowadays are looking for something a little bit more than just climbing the corporate ladder and making lots of money, perhaps. So that's fantastic to hear about all this that you're giving back. It sounds like a phenomenally exciting project. So where did the name Abhati Suisse come from? What does it mean exactly?
Abhati means illuminate your soul in ancient Sanskrit. It's and for us it has the meaning of peace, and that's why we came together. Sort of just this whole, it doesn't matter if you live across the road or you live across the ocean. I deeply believe, and we all do, that we all want to help in some way, and that's why we chose Abhati.
Yes, what a lovely meaning behind the name as well. So obviously you have taken some of Formula Botanica's courses. Can you tell us which course you've enrolled for and what you did and how you use that information? Because you're not the one formulating, are you?
No. I wasn't aware of Formula Botanica. I think it did happen through one of the team members, Seth, who said, because I kept saying, why can't we have SPF in there? And he's going, it's not natural, you can't do that. And I said, why can't we do this? And he goes, look, I think it's time you go and learn, or at least go in depth into what it's all about, the natural world. And he shoved that under my nose, and I ended up taking a module because I was interested. I've always been mixing powders for masks and things, and I did the mask module, and that was really interesting for me to get an insight into face masks. But it was basically, it was shoved under my nose, and I'm glad I did it because it opened up a whole world, because I watched all the videos as well afterwards.
Yeah.
And they just thought it was just really important, even though I'm just the conduit, I mean, sort of running it in the back end, and they're doing all the work and are the knowledgeable ones. I mean, this is an industry they've been involved in for many, many years. I just think it's important also to understand what's happening because we're part of the whole team.
Yes, absolutely. And interestingly, I interviewed one of our graduates a couple of weeks ago based in Pakistan who did exactly the same. And she learned all about formulating, and then she used that knowledge to guide her team. And she does no actual formulating herself. And we're seeing quite a few people come to us who are doing exactly that, to give them the knowledge to manage the people around them. So that's very powerful in that respect. So I'm glad that we could be of assistance to at least help you get started there. Mm-hmm. So one of the points I wanted to talk about was crowdfunding. Now, obviously, you went for crowdfunding. Can you tell us a bit about how you did it, how much you raised, what you were trying to achieve with it?
Okay, there was a strategy behind the crowdfunding part. That was basically for me I had a buy-in from some phenomenal people, but I had to prove the business model. So that's why I decided to crowdfund, and also be able to be in a position to show everyone, look, this is going to work. This is going to be really good. Let's go with it. And I chose to only crowdfund, I think it was 25,000, because I calculated that's what we needed to launch the first product, to actually really test the first product going out. So that was the raw materials and the packaging and everything. And what I didn't realize when I'd started, we chose Indiegogo, by the way, and not Kickstarter, because Kickstarter doesn't take fluids.
Right.
Indiegogo does. Yeah, they don't take any liquids. So we chose Indiegogo, and what I wasn't aware of, you get a phenomenal support team. Indiegogo has a back end that really supports everyone who goes to, and sort of basically makes it much easier. It's like a fast track MBA into crowdfunding. I explain a lot. But what happened was, what we didn't do was, we didn't have a social network platform up already, which I would advise everyone to do. You have to have a Facebook page, and you have to have some sort of, so that the traffic goes and you can start building it. We didn't have that. So basically, the 4 weeks where we were crowdfunding, it was a 24/7 job. I mean, that's something you have to do anyway, but it's really sort of, it's legwork. You have to hustle, you have to get out there, you have to push it over into all the media spaces, get bloggers to write about you. There's a lot. So if you get the motions in place beforehand, it's much easier. We just took it we took a very difficult path because we didn't know any better.
And I think that's the case with a lot of people who go through crowdfunding, and you really do need to go in very well prepared. You need to have a plan. And as you say, you need to have some small social media following, or at least a network to tap into somewhere. But what I find so interesting, what you were saying there, is about the hustling. Because, for instance, Formula Botanica is currently running a competition, and people are trying to get votes. And it's not a popularity contest. It's about monitoring or trying to see who can actually do that hustle, who can find that network around them and tap into it. And it's fantastic to see how many people come out of the woodwork to support you. I mean, is that something that you found as well once you started crowdfunding?
Definitely. And they've stayed with us. I mean, still, it's something that I think is a very, very beautiful way to build a tribe. a following that understands what you're doing and supports you and takes you, because it's so hard, and sometimes you think, oh, what am I doing here, and also lonely. I mean, I do have a team, but I mean, my team is scattered also everywhere. It's not sort of in one place. So I think that was really a bolster, and it was really for the whole team also. They just realized, come, we'll do this. I mean, they're really donating their time and their expertise, and a lot of it. I mean, the packaging, for example, still takes ages to put together. And I think the whole sort of the whole crowdfunding experience for us was really, it was just a stamp of approval. And even a friend pulled a beautiful video, because you have to have content, you have to have images, beautiful high-end images, and a video that explains it very easily. And this was also pulled together by a friend, and the design team, Paperlux, came up with the idea of doing it with children, using children to explain the whole journey and the message that we were trying to bring across. And it worked. And from that as well, from the crowdfunding experience, the media started to call us aesthetic activists.
Right.
Yeah. So at the beginning I thought, okay, I don't know. But then we've taken that on board, because it actually does very much fit into what we're doing.
Yes. No, that's very exciting. So what would be your sort of main tips for someone who wants to go down the crowdfunding route?
I think make sure that, because when you crowdfund, you have to have good content. Make sure you have beautiful imagery, beautiful content, showcase your wares. And another thing is, you have to have, like, you have those giveaways. I mean, you have to give something in return for the funds that you get. For me, I think I've seen that as well through our followers. You have to personalize it. It has to be it has to address what you're doing, because there are some people who crowdfund and that has nothing to do with what they're offering, has nothing to do with their product. So just really address it to your theme. I think that's very, very much important. We went even further, because we're very much into transparency. We even offered a weekend here in Switzerland to see the production and be part of the production team. One of our team members who works with the farmers in the Himalaya, he was going to offer a trekking in the Himalaya, because he lives there and works there. So that was actually taken. Someone took that.
Wow.
So that was really, I mean, it was just, we really wanted to offer as much as possible, not only the product, but what was around the product as well, and what we were doing.
Wow. Well, I'm glad it went so well and that you managed to get the full amount. That's very exciting. So what is the business doing now?
As I said, I've just landed back. We're stepping into 7 countries. We're doing a launch. I fly out tomorrow to Berlin. We're going to be doing a launch next week where I fly to Copenhagen and the whole of Scandinavia. Australia, we're in talks with Australia, who wishes to have us in, and that would be 61 stores. Josh Wood, I'm really excited about that. Josh Wood is one of the most renowned colorists in London. He does for all the A-listers, etc. He had our products for over a month, has tested and loves it, and we'll be putting all our products, not only the hair products, out to use. And that means his atelier has access. It's where everyone tries in the top hairstylists, the top visages, so they'll all be using it as well. So I'm super, super excited about the endorsement from his end. I mean, Josh Wood is huge.
That is fantastic. I'm so pleased for you. But how did you get your products in front of all these people and to the stage that you might be in 61 stores in Australia soon? You know, how did you go about that?
Hustle. It's really hustling. It's not, I'm actually a quiet person. I mean, I love being around people. I'm very social, but I'm not someone who sort of sits on top of someone and says, no, you have to do it. So for me, I've really had to learn that, but I've been able to do it. It's become part of my DNA now because of the back end. And the back end is, I know if I sell, I'll be able to send X amount of girls to school. And that's what really drives me. I mean, have a big goal of what we want to achieve, and it's not something that I put forward. We don't actually even talk about it usually. It's only our products. We knew our products had to stand alone. We didn't want to talk about the other stuff. The whole social part and what we believe in and our purpose behind Abhati was a very personal thing. It's just come out more now afterwards. So it's really sort of just hustling and saying, look, please try this. And also when people don't come back to you, I've written back not only once, I've written back 10 times.
Wow, that's persistence. It does definitely pay off, because I remember in the early days, you know, you keep having to write back to people and ultimately the ball then starts rolling. But my word, you have to be able to deal with the rejection, don't you?
Yeah, no, I mean things like being able to go and have a private meeting with the Net-a-Porter team, meet the editorial team, be in front, and Vanity Fair is going to do a write-up now. I mean, those are things really where, in all honesty, I have to say it's also a network as well. I mean, I'm dealing with people who come from this industry, so they open doors as well. I mean, they're already selling some of their products there, and have just said, look, please have this meeting. But I think at the end of the day, if your product isn't up to, if it's not sort of like 200%, then those doors will close very, very quickly. And interestingly enough, some of the magazines have got in touch with other magazines and said you have to meet this team. So it's like a snowball that's taken place. For me, it was. It's been an interesting journey, Lorraine. I mean, there is a lot of my own private. I do have a background as well. I mean, I come from the social space. I was working in the social sector, and I was running refuges for women who are victims of domestic violence who come to us and stay with us as a safe haven. And I left, I worked in North England, and I moved on to Switzerland to work in another refuge based in the east part of Switzerland. So for me, learning the whole business area as well, I have all these different sections, so it's like a circle that closes. So I understand the social part, and I understand the business part, although I was crap at that. It didn't suit me because it was around an area that I just wasn't excited about. And then eventually when I did launch a business that did do well, Swiss Medikids, it was the first privatized walk-in emergency clinic for children, where I was able to send the pediatricians to do stints in developing countries. So they would do that pro bono, and we would make sure that would happen. And then through that learning curve, I've realized that for me, that if you find your passion in something, then everything falls into place. And that's happened with Abhati. It's the first place where I've worked so hard, and I mean, everyone does who's here, but it's just so rewarding. And there are some beautiful stories that have come out from one of the team members who's never even been to Asia. I think the furthest was Austria. Ended up going to India to meet the farmers because of an incident that had taken place. Goes with his Tupperware box all full of medicine, lands there. The farmer says, no, you're not going to your hotel, you're staying with us. He ends up staying there for 3 days, and now does downward dog. He does yoga, and the daughter of Babu, his daughter, wants to become a biochemist, and they sort of mentor each other around that. So those are the things that make it just so worthwhile, the whole project. And those are the things that bring us out in tears when we sit there, but it's just so fulfilling. So these guys have really literally won awards. Paperlux has won awards for its design. Some of the products that these guys have pulled out have won awards, and they say there's nothing as rewarding as working on this project till now.
Wow, you've created something amazing. You should be so proud of yourself. I mean, can you tell us a bit about your products themselves? I mean, how many products did you launch with? How many do you have now? Can you show us any?
We have nine products. I can show you. So that's the sort of, it's very, very much sort of the Swiss cleanness, because the whole product line is healing botanics from the Himalayas.
Can you hold it up a little bit so we can see it? Oh yes, lovely. So what's this?
That's the body cleanser. That's a body cleanser, and every product has a special oil in it, like the nourishing shampoo Yamuna. The whole shampoo line is a detox line, and it's about getting rid of all the gunge that you have there, and basically cleaning your hair through ingredients like Indian gooseberry, which is a very powerful antioxidant, and the oils are cold pressed in the Himalaya area and the Western Ghat area, where we work with the farmers. So this is really packed with amino acids and has beautiful rare oils in each of them. And these products would have actually costed much, much more if we had to actually pay for all the work behind it. We all said that we wanted the products to be accessible to everyone so that they can understand and have access to clean, pure products. That was the whole thing behind it. So if you see, the intricacy was sort of the cleanliness of Swiss technology that's in all of our work, but coupled with the elegance of the Indian sort of Ayurvedic background. So it's like little designs as well through the packaging, which you can't see very well now, but it's just beautiful. And I think each time when we go into a store or we go somewhere for a meeting, they just look at it and then put it on their hands, and you can tell there's oils in it. It's just so rich. And and one of my favorites is this. Is the lip treatment, the all natural lip treatment, because
hold it up a bit. There you go.
It's like it has a salicylic acid in it, so it's from a fruit. And the beautiful thing about the sea buckthorn is it actually exfoliates as well your lips. So it could tingle, it depends on how sensitive you are, and it evens out the skin tone, but it's a multi-purpose as well, because you can use it on your nails to prevent brittle nails and eyebrows. I tend to use it, and I know a woman who uses it on her eyelashes.
Wow.
So it has lots of purposes. It's brilliant. I think it's the only thing you need to travel with or knowledge with. It's just
so. How many products did you launch with? What did you start with initially? Which one was it?
The one hand washes the other.
Okay. So is that a hand wash, I take it?
Yeah. So that was our hero product, and still is. And it tells the story of why we came together, sort of one hand washes the other in a positive sense. So that was really, really, and the other thing is that we put on it is our packaging comes as the shampoos come with a mantra. So you're in your hair and you can say a mantra that really does sort of bring you back down and gives a good start to the day as well. It's a beautiful short mantra. And this one also, every product also tells the vision. So we all our products say this bottle contains a dream, a vision, a mission, and a cause. You might say it moves mountains. Here's where the herbal strength of the Himalayas in India meets Swiss alpine precision. So everyone has a little story to it as well, which is very, very much aligned to our work.
That's absolutely beautiful. I love it. And they look absolutely stunning as well. As you say, really clean, modern packaging, but with a fantastic heart-driven mission, basically. So what's next? What's the future? What does the future hold for Abhati Suisse?
So they're actually going crazy on skincare. So they're developing an amazing face line, and we're working with a very, very old ingredient from the Ayurvedic scriptures, which is because we have a healer on our team, Sanjay, and it's actually written and called Nectar of Gods, and we're going to use that possibly in a face mask, which is why I was on that as well. That helped, being on Formula Botanica and learning about that.
That's what we like to hear.
So that's it, and beautiful, beautiful face oil, which is this one. It's just amazing. This is not the packaging, but we've just been testing the oils that we've put together there, and that will come, and we'll probably do a video around the women and show how they work on the oils, because we use very, very old traditional Ayurvedic processes to bring out the oils. So you see it online as well. You'll see our work where we macerate as well. A lot of the so it's very much the old processes, but it's very much coupled also with Swiss technology. So everything is tested rigorously. Everything goes through, and also the botanics that come to us. And we did. Just to add, we did actually start off producing, we were formulating in India. Some of the team members were doing that in India. And the products that came back weren't up to the standard that was needed. So we had to scratch that. There's only 2 very good places that you could work with on the lab. And that's how we ended up doing everything in Switzerland.
Okay, so the future holds more products, more countries, more sales, and ultimately then, obviously, more goodness out into the world in terms of your mission and everything you're trying to achieve with the business. So I have one final question for you. Now, obviously, we're followed by tens of thousands of skincare entrepreneurs all around the world who are now probably sitting here going, wow, how do I emulate what Anju's just done? What would be your main piece of advice for someone who wants to start their own skincare business?
I think, as for me, do your course. that really helped, because I just think it's also what I'm seeing, and I didn't understand, it's such a saturated industry. There's so much out there. Really try and position yourselves differently. Find a niche. I think the niche is the most important thing. Find something that's totally different, but really does address you and who you are, and just be very authentic around it, and then build a brand around yourself. Because I've seen now as well, people do want to see who's behind it. They want to understand why you're doing that as well. But just do be authentic around what niche you've chosen.
Excellent advice. Yes, couldn't agree more. So be authentic and find a niche. And I think that's something that every skincare entrepreneur needs to consider, because organic isn't a niche anymore, natural isn't a niche, but there are so many uncontested niches out there still that I just don't see people going for. So there's a huge opportunity.
Huge. I mean, one of the things that we clearly did, our niche is we're not doing greenwashing. We're green. But our packaging, I mean, some people pick it up and say, oh, this is not natural. And I said, well, yeah, that's why we're doing that like that, because we are natural and we're going against the whole, because there's just, I mean, you just have to find something that's quirky and different, and then take that and follow it. And it also makes people think and say, okay, that's true. I don't actually ever even study the ingredients on natural products. So there's going to be a trend, I think, also very, very much along lines of having very, very sort of beautiful packaging, and not having to go with the green and the other colour.
And you know why that is, of course. It's because green and natural and organic is going mainstream. So we no longer have to sit in little green pots everywhere, because ultimately, I'd say most consumers nowadays want to look for that natural element. So that gives everyone a huge opportunity. Right. I think we better call it a day. We've been talking for about half an hour. So thank you so much for your time, Anju. It's been really inspiring to listen about your journey, about your business, and about everything you're doing. It's just phenomenal. And I wish you all the success in the world. You know, I can't wait to see where you take it a year from now, 3 years from now. I mean, you're going to be global, and it's really, really exciting to watch. So
I'll come back and share some tips.
Cool.
Happy to, when I get more.
Yes, and I'm sure our followers would love that. Right, I'm just going to switch back to me. Okay, so thank you very much for watching this series. There will be more episodes going into our blog and into our YouTube channel. And if you're watching this anywhere other than on the Formula Botanica blog, please head on over to formulabotanica.com and come and sign up for the free class that we have on offer and everything we've got there. So we'll see you again soon. Bye.